Hey there, welcome back to another edition of the Bernie Miklasz Show here on my YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Get the word out, pass it along that there's a big guy on YouTube running his mouth about the Cardinals every day. You know, that's a good promo, right? I think, kind of. Got a strong opinions, a lot of them. Anyway, appreciate your support and appreciate all the comments you're leaving and all the times you hit the like button. The response has been great, and it's good for my morale. Here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Lars Newar, and there's a couple reasons why I want to talk about Lars Newar. There's actually two parts to this. As an overview standpoint, let me say it this way. This is the first of three, I should say. The first thing is, if the Cardinals offense is going to improve in 2025, whether we're talking about moderate improvement, we're talking about major improvement, we're talking about substantial improvement, in any of those scenarios, no matter how it turns out, Lars Newar will have to be in the middle of it. He will have to be a key component of that improvement, in that improvement. He can't be a spectator. He can't be a bystander. He cannot be on the injured list as much as he has the past two seasons. So the first part of this is his importance to the team. Number two, his availability to the team. And number three will be how he is utilized by manager Ali Marmol. So those are the three parts. Let's talk about the injuries and the availability, because obviously the injuries, pretty much create the times that you are available, or they hold you back from the times you are available. All right, let's look at it this way. All right, I wanted to mention 2022 because it didn't have anything to do with injuries. But in 2022, Lars Newar played pretty well, but the Cardinals sent him down 3 times and promoted him 3 times. So he was sort of on that shuttle between St. Louis and Memphis. And because of that, he started only 79 games in the outfield all year. Now, in 2023 and 2024, the issue was injury. The primary issue was injury. It really was not a performance-related issue. It was more of is he available? Can we play him? Is he hurt? How's he feeling? When's he coming off the IL? Questions like that. And in 2023, he started only 110 games. And in 2024, last season, he started only 98 games. Now, he played in more games in the outfield than he started, because that makes sense. I mean, you come off the bench as a pinch hitter and you stay in the game, or you're brought in as a defensive replacement, or you're brought in because the other side's got some right-handed pitchers lined up, and it's good to get his left-handed bat in the lineup over the final 3 innings, 2 innings, whatever. So he did play 131 games in 2023, and he played 128 in 2024. That's still not good enough, or I should say it's still not enough, right? So if we look at just the 2 injury-plagued years, in 2023, he was on the injured list with a thumb injury for 15 days that he missed. He missed 20 days with a back injury, and he missed 15 days with an abdominal strain. In 2024, so that's three IL stays. In 2024, there were 2. He missed 14 days with a rib contusion and 39 days with an oblique injury. So in the last 2 seasons, he has been on the injured list, Lars Newar, 5 different times, added all up together, and he missed a total, added all up together, of 103 days. And so then you get back into 2022, when the fact that the Cardinals just didn't really create a substantial role for him until very late in the season. He's sort of been in and out of the lineup. He has not been a mainstay in the lineup. And I repeat, for the Cardinals to take a step forward offensively, his ability to play a larger number of games, his availability for more action, a lot more action, will have a lot to do with whether this offense is going to stay the same, get worse, maybe go a little better, or get a lot better. He's really a central part of this. So when you look at the last 2 seasons, again, the injury bothersome seasons, He's averaged over 23 and 24. He's averaged only 104 starts. They play 162 games, so he started 104 out of 162. Not enough, and he did get in an average 129 games those 2 seasons. So he's not there enough, and that's where it starts. That's the big deal. That's the biggest part of this. Can the player go? As Tony La Russa used to say all the time, he would use the horse racing analogy. I would ask him about, well, how do you measure a player's value, Tony? What's the number one thing? And I thought he would say talent. But and I said, well, it's talent, right? And he said, well, it depends. And I said, what do you mean it depends? Isn't talent everything? No, it depends. Well, what? Oh, great leader. What do you mean? He said, well, he's got to go to the post. I said, you mean like a horse race? You mean like a thoroughbred's got to go to the starting? Yeah. I mean, you can have all talent in the world, but if you can't go to the post, you can't get to the post enough to run, then your value is not going to be the same. So it's a combination of talent, but got to get to the post. And the more you miss going to the post, getting scratched from the race, if you're a racehorse, the more times you get spats, the more time, I'm just laughing, man, Tony La Russa memories. The more time you get scratched from the race, well, your opportunities to win races are going to be curtailed. They're going to be limited. You're not going to have all the opportunities to win. If the horse is in the barn and he cannot run, well, if you think he's a really good horse, that means you as the trainer, you as the owner, you as the barn, you're going to miss out on a lot of paydays because the horse can't get to the post enough. Why does that remind me of Lars Newar? Well, maybe Tyler O'Neill as well, right? So the first thing about, Lars Newar in 2025, is he going to go to the post? Can he get there enough? Is he going to be able to enter enough races? Okay, I've beaten that to death. Let's move on. But that is the biggest question. The second question, by the way, I was looking at this real quick. Let me back up. I promise no more horse racing analogies. It's interesting because if you look at the last 2 years, we always think of Tyler O'Neill as the injury-plagued guy, and boy, you never know when this guy's going to be able to play that kind of thing. But if you look at Tyler O'Neill, his final year in St. Louis, his first year in Boston, he missed a total. T.O. has missed the last 2 seasons. He's been on the IL 5 times, same as Noot, and he's missed 111 games. Noot on the IL 5 times over the last 2 seasons. He's missed 103 games. I mean, only 8 fewer games missed than O'Neill. My point being, O'Neill may be gone, and I'm not doing this to cheap shot Noot because I think he's a heck of a player. But O'Neill may be gone, but the problem remains because you have one of your more talented outfielders, one of your more potentially terrific outfielders, missing too many games still. At first it was O'Neill primarily, and now it's more Noot the last couple years. It's just frustrating because when Noot plays, we totally can see what he can do. All right, let's get to the second part of this, shall we? The second part of this is, I am a big believer, and I haven't talked about this for a while, probably never talked about it here since I started my Bernie Miklasz Show YouTube channel. I've always never really understood why Lars Newar is not this team's leadoff hitter. And before you say, well, he doesn't steal a lot of bases, I don't care about stolen bases, okay? Mason Wynn was a leadoff hitter last year. How many bases did he steal? How many did he steal for the season? What did he have, about 12, 13, something like that? He got thrown out a lot. I know that. So it's not like you got a 90 stolen base guy up at the top of the lineup. And Mason Wynn, and I'm a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of him batting leadoff, and more on that in a minute. But Mason Wynn doesn't run all that much, and when he does, he gets caught way too many times. It's just a low percentage move to have him run. Now, he can improve, perhaps. Back in the minor leagues, he was really good at stealing bases, and he had a high percentage of success. Okay, the door's not closed on him. But the reason that I like the idea very, very much of Lars Newar batting leadoff, and let me get to my notes here because I got a lot of them, and I think you will like some of these numbers. Lars Newar batted leadoff just a little bit in 2022. he batted leadoff. He had 309 plate appearances in 2023 as the leadoff hitter. And the Cardinals offense was still pretty good. The team wasn't, but the offense was good. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Noot was in at the top of that lineup a lot of times. I mean, their two primary leadoff hitters, well, they had three in 2023. They used Noot a lot. They used Tommy Edman a lot. They used Brendan Donovan a good amount. So there wasn't one guy who had the gig, like the primary guy. Although looking at it, I think Noot may have had the most plate appearances. If he didn't, he was way up there. So here's the thing you should know about Noot in 2023, when he had his most extensive opportunity to bat leadoff. Okay, what I did is I went to the split search on Fangraphs, and I punched in 2023. Then I punched in number one, as in batting position in the order. And finally, I since he had 309 plate appearances as a leadoff hitter, I entered a minimum of 300 plate appearances as a leadoff hitter. And his batting average, okay, and we're talking about, a lot of guys, right? A lot of guys. His batting average of 277 was the 9th best among major league leadoff hitters, right? And we got a lot of them with 300 plate appearances in 2023. So he had the 9th best batting average. His on-base percentage was 362, which was 11th best. He slugged 454 in the leadoff hole. So you get that kind of poor man's Ricky Henderson thing a little bit, minus the stolen bases. What I mean by poor man's Ricky Henderson, I mean really good on-base percentage and a really good slugging percentage for leadoff hitters. So you got danger in the one hole, right? He also had a tremendous walk rate, Lars Newar, which means he's getting on base a lot of times. His OPS, combined slugging and on-base percentage, was 816. That was 11th best among leadoff hitters. And then or 816, OPS, that was 11th best among major league leadoff hitters in 2023. And then if you look at, WRC plus, which is weighted runs created plus, all you need to know is 100 is the league average. So as the leadoff man for the Cardinals in 2023, Lars Newar performed offensively at a rate that was 25% above the major league average. So he was 25% above average offensively as the leadoff man. That was the 10th best among major league leadoff hitters in 2023. Any way you look at this profile, again, I don't give a damn about stolen bases. I mean, I would like to, but it just hasn't been a factor here in St. Louis for a while. And Tommy Edman used to steal some bags, but they don't have a lot of great athletes. They don't have a lot of fast guys. And they don't have, there's something lacking in their technique. Once again, instruction, coaching, not good enough. Simple as that. And the philosophy by Ali Marmol might be a little bit off. Although, again, I will repeat, I have no idea why people want Cardinals base stealers to run into outs. Like, there's really no point. If you're not making it 73, 75, 77% of the time, you're giving away too many outs, period. It's just not a good play. It's not a smart play if you're not capable of racking up a high percentage of success. So anyway, Noot was basically a top 10, top 11 leadoff man in Major League Baseball in 2023. So what happened in 2024? Now, again, I know he's injured a lot. I know he couldn't get to the post as often as we would like. He did not have one plate appearance as a leadoff man in 2024. I don't understand that. I don't get it. I don't understand it. If you want to have some power at the top of the lineup, that's good. You can have power at the top of the lineup with Lars Newar, but what you're also going to get at the top of the lineup from Lars Newar is you're going to get a lot of walks, and you're going to get a good batting average, and you're going to get a guy getting on base at a high percentage, right? That's the most important thing an on-base percentage, most important thing a leadoff man can do, get on base often. Because usually the way lineups are constructed, you have your best or one of your best hitters batting second. You have one of your best or the best hitter batting third, and you have one of your more dangerous hitters, power-wise, so-called RBI man, batting fourth, fifth. So the job, and some people, because I talked about this once before, and someone was jumping all over me in the comment section, which is fine. I should be critiqued, but just saying, well, that's overrated because the lineup turns over all the time. In other words, a guy will start the game at leadoff, but how many times after that will he lead off an inning? And I thought about that, and I thought, well, I'd like to say good point, but I really can't, because the point is that the number one hitter in your lineup, and pardon the cliche, as many good hitters as you have, those guys are following him in the lineup. So if he can get on base, or if he can double and be standing on second base, but if he can walk, he can get a hit, he can get a double. It's the guys that you count on to drive in runs, and I'm not saying they will, and we saw that last year. They didn't. But the guys you are counting on to be able to take advantage of RBI opportunities are immediately behind the number one hitter. And that applies to whether it's the first inning or the fourth inning or the sixth inning or the seventh inning or whatever. Those guys are always going to be behind the leadoff hitter. That is the point, my friends, because it's the old setting the table cliche, right? Right. Thank you. So let's talk about Masyn Winn. One of the things, either writing at scoopsnetwork.com or doing radio hits or being on my radio show at KFNS, and then when I started this channel very late in the baseball season, I was always asked. People were, I think some people just were surprised that I was critical of Masyn Winn batting leadoff. I mean, I understand why Ollie Marmol tried it. I do understand why he tried it, but it's just in terms of a guy hitting for average, drawing a lot of walks, getting on base, it just wasn't there. He hit for a little power in the leadoff hole, but again, I repeat, in his career, Nootbaar's hit for good power, really good power as a leadoff man, and he's had a really good on-base percentage. That, to me, is what you're kind of looking for, right? Especially with a right-handed starter on the mound. And just a reminder, you're going to get a right-handed starter about 73 to 75% of all games that you compete in, because there's way more right-handers than left-handers, all right? So here's the deal. Last season, Masyn Winn, I love Masyn Winn. Please do not say, oh, Bernie, I can't believe he's dogging Masyn. I'm not dogging Masyn Winn. I'm dogging the manager for putting him at first in the lineup. I don't get it. And when you hear some of these numbers, you really won't get it. And you can see why. My fault is not my problem. My gripe is not with Masyn Winn. It's how the manager uses him in the lineup. He had him down towards the bottom of the lineup before he moved in leadoff. And the thing of it is, Masyn Winn was really good at hitting down there. He put up sensational numbers. And yeah, he did have a chance to drive in a lot of runs. If something's working, why mess with it? That's what I say. So you remember all the stuff I told you about Lars Newar as the leadoff man in 2023 and how successful he was and how he was one of the 10 or 11 best in all of the major leagues at the assignment of batting first. Okay, now let's go to Masyn Winn. 470 plate appearances last year batting first, right? That was the 11th most of any leadoff man in the majors last season. So he was one of the most active leadoff hitters in the majors. His batting average was 17th. His on-base percentage ranked, among those with at least 300 plate appearances, leadoff man with 300 plate appearances. Masyn Winn ranked next to last in on-base percentage from the leadoff spot at 290. I'm sorry, I'm slowing down there to make sure I read those numbers correctly. His leadoff on-base percentage was 290. I mean, I'm sorry, that is absolutely awful. And he slugged 402. That's okay, but it's nothing like wow, but it's good, solid. His OPS was 20th best among all the leadoff hitters, 692, and using the old weighted runs created plus, 7% below league average offensively. So when Lars Newar batted leadoff in 2023, he was 25% above the league average offensively at the leadoff spot. Last year, when Mason Wynn took the job, he was 7% below league average offensively as a leadoff man. So that's a 32-point decline from where Noot was in 2023. So why is this a good thing? I'm trying to figure out why it's a good thing. And once again, I'm going to circle back. If he's not available to play as much as they need him to play, then whatever value he provides as a leadoff hitter, Noot will not be what you want it and need it to be. I get that. But if he's ready to play, he can play more often. To me, he should be batting leadoff. I just feel really strongly about that. So last season, primarily because of Mason Wynn having a 290 on-base percentage as the leadoff man. Now, here's the stat of the day here in the Bernie Miklasz Show channel on YouTube, my stat of the day. I went back, and in fact, one of the reasons why I'm getting this video up a little late today is because I was doing a lot of research. So I went back to 1900, okay? Yeah, 1900. And I wanted to see every single season the Cardinals have had since 1900, okay? What has been the poorest on-base percentage at the leadoff position, no matter who was occupying it? What has been the poorest on-base percentage at the leadoff position for the Cardinals in any season since 1900? All right. Last year, their 292 on-base percentage in the leadoff hole was last in the majors. So anyway, the whole idea of doing something to get your offense going, setting the table, setting the deck, whatever you want to call it. Again, I know that they didn't drive in a lot of runners with scoring position, but that is not the point. The point is to still give people an opportunity to do so. You got to be able to have runners on before you can worry about driving them in. So the Cardinals had the very worst leadoff man on base percentage as a team in 2024. Okay, now let's get back to the Cardinals. Where does that rate in Cardinals history in a season? 292 on-base percentage from the leadoff hole. It's the second worst in the history of the franchise in a season. The only time it was worst was back in 1917. So last season in 2024, the Cardinals' leadoff on-base percentage of 292 was the worst by this team in a season since 1917. All right? So I repeat, why is this a good idea? See, and if I may be annoying for a moment, and I'm not trying to be, I just know this will be annoying to you. And I don't know whether to apologize or just say, well, you know who I am, you kind of know how I am. There are things to criticize Oli Marmol about. Okay, some of you would say there are a lot of things to criticize Oli Marmol about. That's fine. You criticize whatever you want. But what astonishes me is that how many times people miss the target on this. They'll criticize him or any other manager for something that really isn't bad or something that it's just not all that big of a deal. And then when you have something that actually, to me, is kind of a big deal, when you have a lousy offense and your lousy offense sort of begins at the very top spot, when you have a 290 on base percentage out of the leadoff hole, which is going to limit the number of opportunities your 2-hitter, 3-hitter, 4-hitter, 5-hitter have to drive in runs because the leadoff man's not getting on base at a rate it's not even okay. It's not even mediocre. It's really, really poor. So for everything that Marmol got criticized over in 2024, to me, this was one of the very biggest things, the most important, significant things. They had a terrible offense primarily because they didn't hit well with runners in scoring position. But I repeat, you still got to get your leadoff man on base more than 29% of the time. And when you have the worst leadoff man on base percentage in franchise history last year since 1917, you're not putting your lineup together properly. You're putting it up, shall I say, stupidly? I think so. I'm comfortable with that. I do not get it. I don't get it. So I don't know what Ali Marmol is going to do in 2024, 2025, pardon me. Maybe I don't think this was the thought of like, well, let's get Wynn in the leadoff hole and he'll learn and then he'll develop into a good one. I'm sorry. They signed 3 free agent starting pitchers and they had a healthy Ryan Helsley and they did a couple of other things. And the Cardinals' goal last season was to make the playoffs, okay? Or they never would have signed 3 starting pitchers, Gibson and Gray and Lynn, okay? They never would have traded for Eric Fetty at the deadline, right? Their goal, remember, we can laugh at it now, but their goal was to win the division or get a wild card. Okay, that was their goal. Their goal wasn't, well, let's put this player in the lineup. He's young. Let's put him here. And yeah, he probably will struggle to get used to the role. He'll probably have some failures and he won't be all that good. But that's what you say when you're going into a season like 2025, which is supposed to be, we're going to let the young kids play. I wonder about that too. And that's another video coming up soon. Not today, but that's coming up. If you wanted to bet Mason Wynn leadoff to let him try to grow into the role, well, this past season wasn't the year to do that because the team was trying to make the playoffs. That was their goal. If your goal last year, if their goal had been, well, we're going to play all the kids and see how they do. Well, then Mason Wynn bat lead off. I got no problem with that because, again, you got to find out about stuff. But that wasn't it last year. This is supposed to be the season, the one coming, the season of discovery about what young guys can do, what roles suit them best. So I don't understand it. This was just a historically bad performance out of the leadoff spot as a team for the Cardinals in 2024. And yet you got a guy that in 2023 was a top 10, top 11 leadoff man in all of Major League Baseball. And what happened? He didn't get one at bat as the leadoff man, not one. Does that make any sense to any of y'all? I wouldn't think it would, but I'm just wondering, to be polite. Does it make any sense? Guy was 25% above average the season before as a leadoff man, and then in 2024, he didn't get an at bat as a leadoff man, and the guy you gave 470 plate appearances to was well below average. And your team on base percentage leadoff spot, I'm going to keep drumming home the point, the worst since 1917. 1917. The worst since 1917. Okay, I'm being annoying. If you look at Noot Bar and you just in general, like over the last 3 seasons, because he did play a lot in 2022 in between minor league returns. This dude had the 6th best walk rate among major league hitters over the 3 years, basically 14%. Only Soto, Judge, Muncy, Schwarber, and Lamont Wade Jr. had a higher walk rate. And then he also didn't strike out much as a hitter, period. In fact, his walk and strikeout ratio, like he had only 0.70 strikeouts per walk. That was top 14. That was 14th among major league hitters, no matter where you're hitting. Noot Bar is a guy that will get on base a lot, and he will hit for some power. If you look at his, again, this isn't contoured just to the leadoff spot. If you look at his on-base percentage over the last 3 seasons, it's .351. That ranks 28th among a lot of hitters. Over 200 or so, 300 or so. So over the past 3 seasons, Noot Bar's got a higher on-base percentage than Corey Seager, Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, Matt Olson, Jose Ramirez, Justin Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Ian Happ, Gunnar Henderson, Kyle Schwarber, Corbin Carroll, Francisco Lindor, Austin Riley, and many, many others. Now, his 426 slugging percentage over the past 3 seasons, that's not like a big shout out. It ranks around 100th, but it was higher than Spencer Steer, Adley Rutschman, Mike Yastrzemski, Dansby Swanson, Chas McCormick, George Springer, Jurickson Profar, Charlie Blackmon, Carlos Santana, Anthony Rizzo, Starling Marte. He outslugged some guys who are named players. And his OPS overall, 777, was ranked around 60th, but it was higher than Justin Turner, Riley Green, Ozzie Albies, Luis Robert, Tyler O'Neill. He's Robert. Luis Robert, sorry. Tyler O'Neill, Bo Bichette, Rhys Hopkins, Cody Bellinger, Adolis Garcia, Stephen Kwan, Giancarlo Stanton, Nick Castellanos, Dansby Swanson, George Springer, Mike Yastrzemski. So, I mean, he's a really good hitter. I mean, I don't know how to put it. He's a really good hitter. And he's been, the last 3 seasons combined, he's 18% above the league average offensively. That's better than Max Muncy, Michael Harris Jr., Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, Gleyber Torres, Jazz Chisholm, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, Bellinger, Springer, Stephen Kwan. Again, to recap, number one, he's got to be able to go to the post. He's got to run the race enough to have more chances for the Cardinals to win because of their offense, right? And if he cannot play enough games, if he continues to average about 104 games started per season, he will never be the force offensively or the kind of player that can make a huge difference by himself for your lineup. He'll never be that guy because he's not in the lineup frequently enough because of injuries. But if he's able to play a lot, he should be at the top of your lineup. The numbers, statistics on that scream that. They absolutely shout that. This is a guy with leadoff hitter skills. And I can live with a guy being 25% above the league average offensively as a leadoff man. And that's, again, 10th or 11th best in baseball that was in 2023. I don't need him to try to steal 23 bases and get thrown out like, you know, like 35% of the time. I don't need that. This ain't Whitey Herzog. He's not coming back. And that style is not going to come back the way that people want to just see people. I don't know why I have no idea why any fan of any team would want to see their guys run into a lot of outs. As Earl Weaver always said, one of my favorite Earl Weaver quotes, he says, you know, you only get 27 outs. They're precious. Take good care of them. Don't give them away. They're precious. That's my philosophy. I agree with that. If you got guys capable of stealing a lot, well, let them run. Whitey did because he had those guys in the 80s, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts about all things Lars Newar. I've gone 32 minutes. I plan to make this a little shorter, but you know me, man. I get wound up and I keep going. See, I always go to the post. Sometime I'm a horse and I don't know when to stop running my mouth, right? All right, you all be good. Thank you again, as always, for watching The Bernie Show here on YouTube.